So insights are usually connected from random dots getting connected, right? Uh, but the process of collecting dots has to be efficient for the process of connecting dots to be more efficient. Uh, and then collecting dots is easier if your friends are also collecting dots to connect dots. So what happens is that compounding naturally works better when you have a lot of people from different domains of life who are constantly collecting dots. For example, I spend a lot of time with a lot of different people from different fields to see how these worlds connect. For example, I will sometimes speak to an influencer, to a stand-up comedian, to a music director, to an entrepreneur in a completely different space, because at when you distill insight, things connect. On the surface level, they look like very, very different businesses, right? For example, I can't tell you how similar education and gambling businesses are at the crux of it, and why people do what they do, and why the gross margins seem to be high, and why luxury goods businesses is similar to education businesses, because the crux of it, the principles are remaining the same. And only when you ask and go deeper into some of these things, they connect. I've seen a pattern where people from these industries don't talk to each other. Usually the luxury guys are talking to other luxury guys and other luxury guys. The reason I'm envious of you, because you have like made the most efficient machine of connecting dots. Like, you are talking to people from such diverse backgrounds, and the amount of things that are connecting in your head from different things is like something I really envy. When you pinged me, I said, Shane, I wish I had what you do in life. I'm so envious of you, because what you're able to do is get such, and I've seen that things connect when you go really deep or you go really wide, and things just then start connecting with each other, right? And therefore, one of the things that I do a lot is constantly look for origin stories of why certain things exist. For example, I was curious about shampoo as a product. I'm like, who the hell came up with this name? And then I found that the origin story of shampoo is an Indian trader who went to Europe to sell a shikakai, which is a different product in India, and sold it as a champi. Champi is like head massage, which creates foam, and that was called shampoo by European guys, and it became the product. And no Indian who uses shampoo knows that the word shampoo comes from champi, which we use as a word for head massage. And then I see these things and I'm like, when you go to origin stories of many, many things, there are so many first principles that connect. And then you say, oh, Indian traders used to make these kind of trips and all of that. For example, I was studying, I'm like, let's study all the history. So Premchand Roychand was a rich guy. I was like, okay, who are the other rich people of India? And I found this guy called as David Sassoon, who was an Afghan trader who made it big in Bombay. And I'm like, how did he make it big? Then I found out that he was the largest opium trader for the region, and British made the entire rail network to support his opium business, which grew opium across the world, India, and shipped it through Bombay to guess where? China. And David Sassoon had a huge role to play in the opium war that happened, where British attacked China because they stopped David's supply to go to China because of banning opium. And Hong Kong was born out of the settlement of opium war. And many of the banks that we know today from Hong Kong are actually the banks made by the opium traders. And I'm like blown away by all of these things, because nobody has any interest in going to the history and origin stories. We just accept things to be that way. But when you go to the first principle origin stories, building blocks, things connect, and they just you see patterns again and again. I think being shameless is most important ingredient in ability to connect dots.
Go deeper on
that. Shameless people make more conjectures without any fear of judgment. I will make a conjecture randomly and write as if it's some law of physics. And people bash me and correct me and sharpen my insight. Or connect even further dots for me. And then I'm like, wow, I have a new insight on top of that, because I just put a conjecture out there without giving a damn of people thinking that how the hell can he say like this? How can he? For example, I put a conjecture out during COVID that maybe the new variants are lighter in weight, therefore they can spread faster, but they are less fatal because viruses seem to have a correlation of weight with how potent they can be. Like for example, HIV is a much heavier virus than common cold, and therefore it spreads through blood transfusion or sexual transmission, but it is a lot more potent versus common cold, which can spread through air. And I just put that conjecture out there, and people just bashed me saying that you are making a medical statement, whatever. But I realized that actually this is damn good. This applies to startups that spread faster, are usually have a very light Trojan that spreads versus a very heavy thing, and therefore if you really want to be a high distribution startup, you have to build which is very light, it spreads like a virus, and therefore the word viral is born from virus, which talks about how a light content, and therefore TikTok becoming what it is because it's the lightest possible virus that you can create that spreads like a wildfire. So I don't fear judgment of like how are you making a medical term connecting it to viral videos to this. And I think shame plays a huge role. I'll give you another example. I made a comment once saying that in elementary table, elements that have a lot of valencies, which is there are more ways for them to bond with other elements, are called reactive elements. And maybe people who also have more valencies are the ones who are more reactive, and they form bonds easily, and they are likely to be more thing. And therefore, people who have lesser valencies are noble, and that's what also called noble gases in the elementary table. And I will make this conjecture in public, and people are like, how can you connect human behavior to elements? And I'm like, why not? I'm not trying to write in a scientific journal. I'm just trying to make a conjecture, and what if this leads to something else? And I think shame plays a huge role.